lays me down, he says, turn your head.
All right, so this is live, guys, right now, so everything you say is being
You can bring that up.
recorded.
You want me to go over this report
And-
section already?
Sure would sound like Miranda starting
We're
out.
talking about those machines.
Yes, please, please, yes,
And we have nobody dialed in, by the way.
yes.
Yes.
No,
Yes.
You're gonna give your report.
Yeah, you want me to do that? Let's talk about the machines.
Good. I think it's a good.
You already have these.
Yeah,
You want me to talk just about them?
yeah, quickly, just say, we're getting the 2 new machines and I've got a plan where they're going and what we're gonna do with the old one. And we had a bunch repaired and they haven't been repaired in 3 years, so it was a little more money. How'd the guy do with the thing? Did he ever get the stone and get it?
We got the first load in, so there's the new pad. You'll finish tomorrow.
Very nice.
That's our $15,000 savings there.
No,
Tracy, 15,000 savings.
no costing us.
Tracy,
It's 4,500.
There you go.
we got a green LED over here, which I would think is good. It's red over there.
That being in
The
the
battery's getting low on that one.
Oh, I
Eventually,
I thought maybe you muted it.
the parking shed and the pavilion, all the rocks is gone.
Yeah.
Trucks running over. That'll happen here. This one's sleeping. Because it's in the woods. So we'll have to put new rock on there at some point, maybe one.
Stay. 1 minute. 1 minute.
Tolerances are too low. And the alarm was going off constantly.
Now, this one, no, it's pretty good. It's, when there's somebody walking behind you.
Do you have anybody on the phone yet?
Yeah, I don't have a-
Oh, Jill's supposed to be here.
Jim said she was coming. I
She's
told-
definitely coming. I talked to her today. And,
So we gotta wait.
And some of the license plates, but I don't know where that's.
Tom is not coming.
This one is.
Tom is not. Tom.
Dom is not,
John, they're on the phone.
John is not, Tom is not.
Well, if any of them are on the
I'm so
phone,
used to.
That counts.
cool.
Yeah, on the phone counts, yes. First
Yeah,
meeting.
if they're on.
Let us know, Tracy, when you get people on the phone.
I've got two devices going here. All right, John Frizzell is joining.
Especially if there's something that's lower than.
1 minute.
The line of stop, shopping cart, or maybe a bollard post.
All right, John, are you on?
See it in the camera.
I am.
Hey, John?
Just like the back of my car. It's an old car on salvage titles. On the inside, I can't see the dents.
We have an old 61, 62 model Chevy that a friend of mine had in high school. The front motor the city would have others set up or work the next day. Yeah, we were.
Nick, did you bring enough for everyone?
I'll do everyone.
You're gonna have to slice that thing up into about 15 pieces.
Why? I've got this one here, somebody just left in the chair.
Oh, dear. Should be water in the cupboard if you want water. Left over from last time.
The soda machine.
All right, we'll call the meeting to order. Mr. Kimber, would you give us an invitation?
Heavenly Father, we come to you in the spirit of thanksgiving for all the blessings that you have bestowed upon this club and its members. We ask that you give us the wisdom to make decisions and guide this club in the direction that we should be going in. Help us to remember our local firefighters, first responders, police officers. Help us keep them in our minds so that we can enjoy the freedoms that they guard for us. In Jesus' name we pray, amen.
Thank you, Hal.
Amen.
Would you lead us?
I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you all. Mr. Secretary, roll call.
John Metcalf,
Here.
Jill Malmby, she's on the way. David Grimm is here, Peter Von Stierowitz here, Al Kimmer.
Here.
Tracy Todd. Here. Don Russo is absent. Thomas Drosky. Neil Bailey. Mike Caprioli. Mike Dendinger. Here. John Frizell.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Thank you, sir. Any of the members have a conflict of interest with any of the business in the agenda tonight? Hearing none, we can move forward. Everybody's have a chance to look at the minutes of the last meeting, provide their input to that.
Yes.
Do I have a motion to approve the minutes of the last
I
meeting?
move that we approve.
Al?
Mike.
Second. Mike? Second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it, motion approved. Thank you very much. Peter, treasurer's report.
Treasurer's report, checking account, $222,201.91. Money market account, Vanguard, $600,006.42. Petty cash for membership, $200. And PayPal account, $631.75 for a grand total of $823,040.08.
Thank you, sir.
And remember, that's as of March 31st.
March 31. Thank you. That makes a difference because we've had more with that.
Yep.
Any questions of Peter on the treasurer's report? All those in favor say,
No, need a motion.
I'm sorry, need a motion.
Motion to accept.
Tracy?
Second.
Al? Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it, the treasurer's report approved. Peter, I think you're working on a more up-to-date modern that would give us more than just the bottom line. So,
Right, because 2 weeks ago gave the same report, because it's
Yep.
as of March 31st.
Yep.
Now, what I can add to it is we also have the guest fee income for last month, which I did not report on. So we have for the outdoor ranges, and I changed rifle to outdoor, it makes more sense. So outdoor is $1,570 last month, and the shotgun $250, for a total in March of $1,820. So that wasn't bad, because obviously now we don't have indoor range anymore. The other thing I can also report on is I sent to the just under 600 members, primary members who hadn't renewed yet, I sent out an email to all of them reminding them, and I've spent all day answering their emails for the 111 people that renewed today.
Okay.
So it was worth sending out those emails and getting 111
So we have
renewals.
500 not renewed, and
So
then
we
we're
still
down to
have-
400.
Right, so total renewal of 1,358 members who have renewed, including those today, for a total of 289,912. Now that's the total amount that's renewed. That doesn't take into account the amount that PayPal charges us, which was a little over 8,000 in their credit card transaction fees. And if I was a little quicker on the math, there was also the 28,000 in volunteer hour credits. So I have to deduct that from there also.
Good.
So that's where we are as far as renewals. So what does that leave us? However many members, 480 something that
Yep.
still have to renew.
So that's way ahead of last year.
So that should be
Way
good.
ahead of the year
When
before.
does late fees kick in?
Late fees kick in on,
September.
I should know.
Okay. So we pushed it
it's
off.
in my email to them.
June 30th is the end of
June
renewal,
30th, does that sound right?
but I don't think we're charging late fees till September.
No.
No, we
No.
started.
Hang on, let me,
That
Can
was
we-
90 days. or
Yeah,
something.
that's what I was thinking.
it's 90 days.
April, May,
For-
June.
So we have all of April, all of May, it's gotta be June 30th then.
Yep.
June 30th is 90 days, and then July, August, September 30th is when they get dropped and have to go through the reinstatement
You can put that
process.
in the minutes, and I think it's a
Well, it's already in there.
$25 late fee.
Yep, and in today's email that went out to those folks, it laid out exactly when the late fee would kick in and exactly when and I copied all the board members
Yep.
on that renewal email that went out.
Good, thank you very much.
You're welcome. So that covers renewals, that covers that. At some point, I'll come back and
Yes,
we will discuss the capital budget.
yes. Report of board members, give everybody, yes,
You have a
please,
question?
I'm sorry.
No, I just want to let you know that Toby and Neil Bailey have joined.
Okay. Welcome, Neil. Welcome, Toby.
Neil's just now connecting to audio, just so you know.
Right. Bring everybody up to date real quick. We've had a journey over the last couple of years in trying to move from a C4 to a C7. A lot of it got caught up in COVID delay with RS, and finally they've taken it up, and they've taken it up to a point where they've had a number of questions about our movement from C4 to C7. They said it's highly unusual that we go from a social club to basically a what would be a country club type setting based on distribution of assets and so forth in case that we had to liquidate. There's a set of benefits of going to C7, and there's a set of consequences that are attached to this. So in talking with the lawyers this morning, I asked that they put together a letter to us so that we have it full clear what the issues are with RS, what if we do move forward with C7, what are the consequences and what's the benefits of that. And it's going to be a board decision how we move forward with that. More to come about that later. And Jill's not here. Dave, do you have anything you'd like to bring up today?
No.
Okay. Peter, I think you had a couple of motion on you want to put on the table.
Yes, please. I have, on the 17th, I sent to all board members a copy, after we had our working board meeting, I sent out a request to look at the capital budget and to rate the items in category A, rate the items in category B, and rate the items in category C. Then after I got the input from all that wanted to have an input, I put together a budget proposal for the capital outlay. Today, I followed it up with another request, or just to let people know again. And my motion is to approve the fiscal year 2021-22 capital budget of $115,000 as laid out in today's email. That does include the $10,000 that we have already approved in a separate motion at the end of the working meeting for the furniture.
And the shotgun. We approved the shotgun.
And we approved the,
The
how much
gravel.
was it? The gravel and shotgun, which was concrete
It was about
pad,
$4,500.
which
We also had benches in there, which
Right.
Gene
Yep.
fixed. We don't need benches. He moved some around. Everybody's happy. That was another $1,600 that we saved.
So my motion is to approve the $115,000 capital budget for FY 21-22.
Second.
Any further discussion? Those who are on the phone, any questions? I think John? Neil?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. This is John. I mean, I read through it. It's,
Okay.
this is really outstanding. Peter, I mean, just really amazing work that you put this together. Thank you. I mean, it's unbelievable.
Thank you, appreciate it. And just to reiterate, we are approving setting the money aside. All of those
Right.
capital projects still need to go through the capital request. And it's either anything over 10,000 comes to the Audit and Finance Committee first, then comes to the board. Anything under 10,000, so let's say 10,000 even and under, comes to the board in the form of a capital request. So any of those amounts, we've approved the money, we still need to approve the actual capital outlay.
Well, Peter, so
Yes, sir.
in the email that you sent, again, thank you.
Yep.
It says the revised capital budget is 105, but you said that's subtracting the 10,000 for the furniture. So when you said it's 115, that's where that 10,000 came from?
Correct.
The
So
missing 10,000?
I think I had an issue with voting on something twice. So we've already
Okay.
approved that 10, so it's actually gone through the whole process, but the entire budget,
Okay.
I probably was mistaken in saying it was 105. It should be 115 for the total budget. Keep in mind, we're voting twice on 10,000.
No, that makes sense because you've got proposed capital budget for 21, 22 is 105, and the approved capital outlay is 10,000. So that's it right there, right?
Correct. Yep,
Yeah, no. Yep, that's it. Thank you.
you're welcome.
Good, I have a motion, I
We got
have a
it.
second. And any further discussion? All right, good. All those in favor say aye.
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 All those
Aye.
opposed say no. Ayes have it, capital budget approved. And clarification too, I think you also set up an account and we have seeded $100,000 into the long-term strategic capital budget. Correct. As well. I think with this, I know it was a lot of hard discussion from the time we started this process last year till now. But we've got a foundation to work on several fronts. So one, we have money to operate the club. We have money to handle what I call the day-to-day, the asset management that we have on the list. And we have set money aside for long-term capital that we'll be able to go back and take a look at. And that's where I want Tracy, as you begin yours and Peter's work, how you circle back into how do we manage identifying those specific projects we want to fill out and do, and how do we fund it and so forth.
Yep.
And I think this is a great first step.
Now that we've set the money aside,
Yep.
now we actually have all 4 range directors. We have Tracy, we have Dave, we have Gene, and we have Toby on the phone. Now that you guys know that the money's been set aside, now please start on filling out the capital expense request to actually move forward with all of those projects.
And would you?
And if there's some revisions where it seems like we had one thing in mind for what it would cost us for the ASF berms and what money we wanted to set aside for the backstops, Dave's gone ahead and he's already gotten us our first estimate. So now you can start moving forward with the capital request. And if there's any changes, we can still make some changes to the capital outlay.
What I was going to ask is,
Yes,
would you send to the range directors that capital A list so they know what the board approved? So there's no
One and
mistake.
two, right?
A and B, or I'm sorry, 1 and 2 for the first
Yeah.
2 projects.
I'll send it to each range director the things that he's been approved to do.
Right.
Yeah, approved to begin the request process.
Correct.
Good. Thank you.
I just wanted to make sure that they knew that this was already a year ago that we started this process. So since things have changed, like ASF berms coming down, other things been identified, they're not engraved in stone, and that's why we can change it through the capital request process. Does that
John,
make sense?
before we go any further, on the call, whose number is 681-4330?
Mine, it's Neil.
Oh, okay, Neil, thank you.
Otherwise, we're about ready to get cut off. I'm about ready to get disposed of, you know?
Terminated.
That's okay. Did you want to talk about training budget? Have a discussion around that now?
I'm going to let training speak about their budget since the board approved it. However, I would like to, how do we want to do it? I'm not comfortable spending a certain amount of money without board approval. And typically, if it's not a budgeted item, I would request board approval on anything over $1,000. So we had the training committee had a couple of classes that occurred last Saturday. Two of those being the
Well, it was not just last Saturday.
Last Saturday,
It
it
was,
was also-
it was
and
last,
prior
let's just
to
say
it.
this month.
this month.
Yeah.
And so one of them was the
First aid.
class, and that one I'm okay with. We also had two introduction to the AR platform classes, both of which had 16 participants, and the total to the instructor for both sessions was $2,240.
That covers both the.
That covered both of the classes. And I just want the board to be aware.
First aid and the
Nope.
platform, or
Oh,
just-
no. Just for the two AR platform classes, so 32 students, the instructor was $2,240. Just want the board to be aware and for them to instruct me that it's okay to pay that. So whoever wants to bring that up.
Would you talk about market rate, Tracy?
Yeah, so first, let me explain for the training committee, and I'm speaking for Dom, who is our training chair, right? So when we went through the budget process and the calendar schedules, right? We went through a process of what is the market rate for a specific class, right? And then we took a swag at it and said, we would pay 70% of that market rate is what we would pay to the club, knowing that we would have some money coming back, right? So in other words, for all classes except for the first aid class, we charge $25 currently. We're charging $25 for members, and we're charging the market rate for non-members, right? With the idea that some income would be coming in and the club would make up the difference to the instructor for that class as a benefit to our members, right? So that's how we came about with the pay for the instructors. Now, I do agree with Peter that we need to do some work there, right? Because, we went into this with we're going to crawl, walk, run, right? And we knew we'd have to make some adjustments. So, now Peter's actually proposed a plan for us to take a look at, the training committee to look at, to figure out if we should make some adjustments there. And those adjustments could very well be that we would raise the rate for the members to take the class. And it wouldn't be extravagant, right? So the way that we're looking at it, it could be 50, to take a class here, like the AR platform class, it might be $50 for non-members and, or for members, and then non-members would be the going rate, whatever it is, $100, whatever it is, right? And then we still need to make sure that the club is not over expensing, if we will, right, on, paying the instructors. We got to kind of figure this out. The way that I think Peter has put it out, and the training committee needs to take a look at, I actually think that it'll benefit us greatly because, the club won't be putting out as much money. So in this case, and Peter, just help me out because I don't have the numbers in front of me, but we took in for the classes, for the AR classes, we took in a number, I think it was 1,300 we took in.
There's been a couple of classes. We took in, 16 times 25?
And
16 times 25 is, 4 times 25 is 100, so it's 400. So we
Plus
took
we had
in a little
some
over
non-members.
800. We had a few non-members.
right.
So let's say we took in, realistically, it was probably about $1,000 to $1,200 for the two classes.
Yeah. So we took in 1,200, we paid out 2,200, right? So that difference there, now, could we reduce that difference? I very well think we can by, taking a look at what we're actually charging the membership for those classes. And then, and maybe we take a look at negotiating that rate, the instructor rate. But my honest opinion on the instructor rates is that, if we're looking at it, everybody does it differently. I can tell you that I worked at CSA. They paid me to do a concealed carry class there. They paid me $160 a day. I don't do my classes there anymore for that reason, right? Because they took in a boatload of money.
They took the money,
Right, and they took it all, right? The instructors,
Flat rate, no matter how many students.
no matter how many students, it was $20 an hour is what they paid.
So I think you're hitting at a good point here. There's two things. There's one, how much does the club want to subsidize?
Exactly.
Membership benefit.
Yep.
And the non-members pay market rate.
Yep.
And the other market rate is what is a fair remuneration for instructors? Because I don't want to get in the situation that you get into. I want good instruction. I want people to
Exactly.
get good
Right.
remuneration.
We need to
So
pay
there may
for
be, there may be
quality.
something, yeah.
the quality.
But you're going where I want you to go, and that is like anything where we have this great plan and we start out and we find out there needs to be adjustments, we make adjustments.
Yeah,
We don't
it's,
just keep going, making the same mistake. And I
That's-
think between you and Peter and the committee, it's the right thing to do.
so, and if you remember the proposals that the training committee put forward,
Mhm.
we put together our best guesses, right? As we're going into this, here's our schedule, here's the rates, here's what our budget is, and, we knew we'd have to make adjustments. And I think this is the time to make those adjustments. And, so the training committee needs to meet. We need to, formulate this, or formalize this, with Peter's help, because Peter's got some great ideas to help us with this. And, we tried to meet Monday, Dom is sick, and, we decided that it was best for us to just push it off, and have that discussion later, but, we're good.
Good.
So now, to Peter's point, we still, we did have 2 classes. We did say that we would pay these rates.
Mhm.
So as a board, we need to decide, are we going to renege on that or go forward?
No, I think the board just needs to be informed and educated.
Yeah.
So we're not ignorant of these things, and then we can look at what needs to be done.
Exactly. There's some room to tweak.
So here's my proposal, is that just going forward, when the board sets up a committee, my thought on the committees are that the committee does the work, puts together a proposal, and then the board votes on that. And I think we're missing that part. The board approved the funds, but just to put things in perspective as far as funds go, the board approved a $35,820 trading budget.
Right.
When you put that in perspective, our largest single expense is the shotgun range at $118,600. The shotgun range has funds coming in though. So that's not all of an expense. That is the expense, but there's a revenue coming in from shotgun of $73,700. So when you do the math, it actually comes out to $40,000 and change. So the single largest range the single largest expense is our fixed expenses at $42,700. So that's the largest single item is fixed. That's utilities, all that other stuff. Okay, so then makes it shotgun second. Our third largest expense is our training budget at 35. And we're okay with that. I just would like to have a little bit of say in it. And I think the board should have a say in how that's spent, because the way it was presented to the Audit and Finance Committee is this is the expense, this is the income, it was never broken down. Like when I checked with Gary, I'm like, am I missing something here? Yeah. Gary never had any breakdown like this. I assumed, maybe incorrectly, that there were going to be some startup costs, the mannequins, things like that. There were already some big expenses. And I think when any committee comes back to the board, I think we should request a larger breakdown.
That's fine.
Of what, that's where I'd like to go.
No problem at all.
So these funds have already been committed and things have been promised. Just let you folks know. And I would like, I don't know if we need to vote on it. I just want it in the minutes that there's going to be some.
How about a motion to pay for the classes that we've had and then reevaluate as we go forward?
Do we need a motion for that,
I
or?
don't think we.
Yeah,
need a
no, I
motion
don't-
for that.
no, I
I
don't
think
think
that's just,
Well, we want a motion to pay these people to make it legitimate.
Do we need a motion for that?
no. we don't.
Well, I think the gist is to get it in the minutes.
I want it in the
And I
minutes.
think this conversation is enough. I don't think we need a
I
vote.
want it in the minutes.
Yeah, I mean, go back to what Tracy said, that we're gonna make adjustments as necessary going forward. As we become better educated as to how these things really happen, we make adjustments as necessary.
Yeah.
But we've got a budget of 38,000, so you've got to maintain,
It's not exactly a blank check.
no, it's not a blank.
Well, and
Here's the money, have at
But
it.
I know one other thing too, and I think, I don't want to lose sight of this. So one of the reasons we went into this, and this was part of a discussion that started about 9 months ago, was that it screws some benefit to the club members. And that if you look at our vision statement, we talk about training. And we talk about we want our members to be the best they can be. I don't think anybody's arguing against that whatsoever. And this now becomes an instrument, a way of making that happen, execute on part of that vision. And I think as we go forward, I would like, I hope 5 to 10 years from now, it's even bigger, and what we can do for the membership of this club. And I think that's going to be critical.
People who want to join the
Because I
club.
look at it strategically, I look at it not only as an attraction element to attract people to our club, but it's also one to retain. It's a retention strategy as well, and I think that's critical. And but Peter, what you said is absolutely correct. I think as we get better on this, that we'll find out we just need to be a little more granular, be informed of what's going on and how to do that. So
Agreed.
So part of that, hopefully Don would be here, would be, just like range director reports and so forth, there'd be a report coming out of the training committee. This is our plan, and say, get an approval around the table maybe with that.
We'll make sure that happens.
Thank you, Tracy, I appreciate it very much. Hal, anything we want to have on election reform?
No, sir, not yet. Nothing to report.
Okay.
I'm still pumped and pretty excited about it and looking forward to hearing from our website guys so I can get rolling.
All right. Tracy, anything on indoor range?
Yeah, I just want to give you guys a quick update. So, 13 days ago, just want to let you guys know this. 13 days ago, I came in here and painted every carrier out there, replaced all of the target backers back there, out there, and just for a test, right? Let's see how things are going. We've got 2 rounds on 1 lane above the line, right? That's it.
It's been 13 days.
In 13 days. Now, David took a look and, we averaged maybe 5 people a day in those 13 days,
That's about it.
right? So, but that's in 13 days. So average of 5 people a day have been in here and they have been shooting. And we literally have 2 bullet holes in the target backer. But this is a good thing, Hal. It's actually a good thing. We only have 2 holes in the target backer above the line that we say, please don't shoot above this line. Right? Nothing on the target carriers themselves, no impacts, no nothing. So
they're the safety margin area.
I would say they're within the safety margin area, but we still don't want them there. But I would say that, so a combination of, hey, we're not going to have guests here, and we remove the stools, right? So no sitting and shooting. And I'm going to call it the factor, right? Where they said, maybe people have said, oh, they are making changes. They are serious about this. So, everybody's tightening up. We've had a good 13 days, right? So it doesn't appear to be any further damage in the last 13 days.
Good.
So that's my update for today.
Good. So part of our test. Okay.
Yep.
Has Tom given you any further input on those technology?
No, he's got them built, and we just got to figure out a time to
Okay.
hook them up and do some other testing, some future testing on it.
Did Tom come on the line?
No.
Okay. All right.
Do we still have a safety committee?
We do.
We do?
We have a indoor range committee. We don't have
Like when people do things that they go in front, like my father-in-law shot into one of the benches. And so they pulled him in front of the safety committee and they kind of, wanted some additional, like, is there still?
No, that was eliminated by the last board. When we did the rewrite of the rules, that was one of the things they specifically wanted taken out of it.
So where I'm going with this is if we do identify people who are shooting outside the norm,
Challenged.
what is the process?
Incident report.
The person who identifies the person doing it would submit an incident report, which should go to Mike, and he should notify whoever he needs to notify. I mean, if it's just someone that needs a little guidance, it's one thing, but.
Yeah,
Got it.
so I would tell you, we have a indoor range committee. Now, it's not a safety committee. It's an indoor range committee that we've got a group of people that are actually monitoring the cameras, that are coming in and checking and monitoring the damage. We did identify the person who did shoot above the lane. I made a choice that during this test, we weren't going to say anything to him. I made that choice, right? So I didn't do an incident report on it. I want to see how things are going. So I think that we're good from that standpoint, but I agree with Peter. I think that we probably need to put something a little more formalized in when we see this stuff.
It's just already it's established in our procedures. That's what the incident report system is about. I get the incident reports. If they're serious enough, I bring them to the board, and then the board, we've seen what the board does. So our procedures are in place.
So going forward, we'll submit incident reports.
Yeah, if they see something egregious, they should make an incident.
Yep.
If it's a guy not wearing his glasses, he probably doesn't need an incident report, but
Correct.
a note.
Unless he shoots
Unless he shoots the
target area.
But it's a guy that refuses repeatedly to wear glasses and throws a tantrum. That's
different. That's for sure. Mike, safety rules.
Safety report. All right, so as you all know, we have an RSO orientation coming up on Saturday. That will be the way we bring new conditional RSOs into the program. I'm in the process, now that the rules are done, I think, I'm in the process of updating the RSO orientation curriculum to reflect both the new rules and the new harassment policy that's going to be added. We're going to add a module on that.
Thank you.
After that is done, I'm going to write the new match director curriculum. Dave and I think it was Dave's idea, but great idea. We have a problem with RSO coverage being stretched or strained by having to have RSOs at matches. And it occurred to us, I think it's a great idea that we could qualify match directors as RSOs for match directing only, basically. We call match director position. You've seen a reference to it in the new rules. That's what that refers to. Previously, the rules said that a match director could only be an RSO for his match if he was a CLO RSO. But we're going to expand that definition a little bit, cut some slack. So then the new match director curriculum will be a subset of the RSO curriculum. Good. Because they don't need a lot of the stuff in the RSO curriculum. We have a new safety equipment manager. Todd McPherson has agreed to take on the role of managing all of the installed safety equipment. We have, I described it to Dave as the new kitten policy. We've had kind of a tendency at the club for somebody to say, hey, I want a new kitten. I want a puppy. And then we get the puppy and we hang it on the wall, but then nobody wanted to feed the puppy, nobody wanted to walk the puppy, nobody wanted to pick up the puppy, and all that stuff. So the guy who's going to do all that now is Todd McPherson. He's going to be the safety equipment manager. He's going to take on some responsibility for fire extinguishers, defibrillators, the stop the bleed kits, the various first aid kits we have installed around the club. We have a hodgepodge of first aid hodgepodge of first aid kits, and we're going to try to rationalize those and bring them all into a single standard.
Good.
And then finally, the live animal boxes. We had requests for a few more live animal boxes. But Todd's enthusiastic about it. He's good. He's already got his spreadsheet, his flow charts, and his calendars also.
That's odd.
He also has a scientific background, so he's pretty smart.
He was
All of that stuff.
Yeah, I just asked him, and he took off running and explained to me how it's going to work.
There you go. Love it.
Nice.
So as he identifies things that need to be replaced, what would the process be to replace them?
But I think it's something we need to be talking about, and this is one reason we did this, because there was really no budgeting responsibility for this. The first big hit actually the instigator of all this was that, as Dave pointed out, the AEDs are coming up on 5 years old. They have a estimated, they're more than
7 to 10 year lifespan.
They have an estimated lifespan of 7 to 10 years, but the pads and the batteries have to be replaced after 5 years. So we're in a position here where if we're going to update these things for another 5 years, they may only, the estimated lifespan, the bottom end of the estimated lifespan is only 2 more years. I think we can probably, my recommendation would be to go ahead and spend the money now, but then in 5 years, when it comes time to replace these things, we need to have a debate about whether
Need to have it in the budget.
and whether they're worth it.
Whether we really want them.
Is there anybody on that even knows how to use that thing?
The guy that sat next to me in the training, when we took the training of Red Clark, but the guy that sat next to me will not be able to use this.
Well, let me answer your question. The answer is yes, if they go through the first aid training that we do.
Which I have been through, but I don't know how much of that I retained.
Well, so our training is, we train on the AED, and it's actual AED devices now that we're actually training with.
The question is, if someone who doesn't have an advocate, look, we just went through the numbers here, well, 2-3 people at the most here at the indoor range, somebody drops on the floor. Nobody knows what it's for. Somebody who's completely untrained is now faced, what do I do? Hopefully, the first thing they're going to do is dial 911. And we're in the middle of civilization. And so the question becomes, are they going to be able to get this thing off? Well, first off, remember that we have it, figure out to get it off the wall, drag it to where the person is, open it up, figure out which button to push, listen to the instructions, follow it.
Obey the instructions.
Follow the instructions, which, I mean, most people can't figure out turn signals these days. And can they do all this in less time than it takes the EMTs to get here?
Oh, absolutely. I know you think the ambulance is around the corner.
And
It's not.
all it takes is one person being safe. That's what I used to do for a living, right? I used to be a paramedic for Montgomery County, Maryland.
Yeah.
I've used those. I've used real defibrillators, and they do work.
Well, let's face it.
They do. They work.
You have a certain level of
Right.
expertise, but most people don't know which way to turn their.
But they're made for.
They're made
common
for
person.
the common person.
You know what? If the guy had it and he tried, at least he tried.
Yep.
If we didn't have it, the guy's dead.
But we have somebody that's at least looking at
That's the
it.
thing for 5 years.
We should just, it's sometime in the next 5 years before we have to.
Let's have Todd, ask him to start researching that. What does it take? And then come back to us with a cost benefit to the club, and is it worth it? And I think the board is gonna make the right decision with the right input, so.
He could also check with the fire department and Union County and find out what their average response time is for an ambulance. You're gonna find out it's at probably 25 minutes.
So let's start with something non-controversial. Band-Aids. How is this person going to replace the Band-Aids? Where's his money going to come from?
I was going to throw that question right back at you. What is the safety equipment manager's budget? And I'll put it in my request for. Now, I think, except for the defibrillator, if we replace battery and pads, that's going to be about $800 right now. That's going to be like in the next 6 weeks.
Per unit?
200 per unit for 4 units. I tell you the truth, I think Band-Aids and everything else is going to be fairly nickel and dime, so I think that's going to be less than $300 or $400.
Well, right now, they don't need any because they will. At the outdoor range and the shotgun range, every first aid kit has been updated.
Right.
We've already paid.
How about we do this? I'm in the process of putting together a financial policy because I feel like I pay 1/10 of the bills that come into the club.
Gosh.
Is the board okay with the treasurer only paying 1/10 of the bills that are paid by the club? I would like to say no.
When do you have that put together?
So in the meantime, I would recommend that the bills get passed on to me and I will then figure out what budget they come out of.
When will you have that financial policy put together?
When I'm not answering 30 emails from members that couldn't even log in to pay their dues.
Gotcha. All right. Anyway, what we need to do is come up.
Joe and I are working.
First, I think we're sitting here guessing, so let's figure out what we really do need to make it standard.
I'm thinking with, when we're talking about the first aid kit items, I mean, to me, that just sounds minor. I know the AEDs are a little bit more. I mean, why wouldn't that just come out of the range director's budgets for those?
Well, see,
Well, you can
figure
have
it out.
shotgun,
We'll figure it
first
out.
aid kit, rifle first aid kit, indoor first aid kit.
That's
Three different.
That's been the question we've been debating. Are these things a facilities item or are they a safety item? And I've got people telling me both. People come to me and say, Mike, who's going to renew the defibrillators? And I go, well, is that a range director item or is that a facilities?
As the range director, I've been the one checking that one, so.
I know, and it's, there are two opinions floating around, and I think that's.
We'll standardize the opinion. So, there you go. And now let me ask the question, are you ready to put before the board acceptance of the safety rule changes?
Yes. All right, so I'm assuming everybody had a chance to take a look at the synopsis of changes. We talked about most of them at the last meeting. Arm's length restriction is, that was our compromise before painting yellow lines. We're going to see. Gene astutely pointed out that we only define the firing line for the bullet ranges, not the shotgun ranges. And there are some sanctioning shotgun bodies who actually allow people on the same team, the same squad, to drop back 2 yards and shoot behind other people on the same squad. And there's been some debate among the shotgun shooters, and correct me if I'm wrong, Gene, that we
That's a trap.
the trap shooters that we.
It's a trap.
That ought to be allowed here, and we wanted to emphasize that we don't want that to be allowed here. So we added under the terminology section, we defined a firing line at shotgun range as the concrete strips at trap, and everybody has to be on the same concrete strip. We talked about match directors and the new match director certification program. Sign-in log, old news. We eliminated the electronic sign-in, so we took a reference to that out of the rules. The 4 days a year that the club was closed were previously only a calendar function. They were not listed in place, so we kind of formalized that, put that in the rules. Amended the summertime expected closing time to be 6 p.m. by 7 p.m. We have very, very little usage that last hour. It's hard to staff those summer afternoon shifts because it's just such a punishing, hot, long day. So we're gonna get a little bit of pushback.
So we standardized that to 2 closing times.
Yes, sir. 5 and 6.
Daylight savings time is 6 and normal standard time is 5.
Yes, sir.
Good.
Correct.
That way people can remember that.
That's all right. Previously, under hours of operation, we just had a long paragraph, and most of it was about the outdoor range, but then kind of as an afterthought at the end, we talked about shotgun. We said, basically, we didn't even say shotgun hours, we just said the shotgun range will be open at such time as the board approves. We didn't even, but we have such a consistent schedule right now, we just broke that into a separate set of range hours for the shotgun range and a separate set of range hours for the indoor range, which is 24/7, 360.
We're open all day, baby.
24/7.
We, under 3.9, under guests, we added the prohibition on bringing guests to the indoor range, which it seems that we're happy with. And
Well, we're not sure that's going to be a permanent. Do we want to put that in the rules? Because we're not sure that's going to remain permanent.
That's
Something the range director.
I think at some point, we're gonna have to reevaluate that and say, maybe you can bring one guest, I don't know, maybe not.
I mean, it's a valid point. I mean, we're doing we had to stop an issue from happening. We made some changes to, to see how that works. I'm not gonna blame everything on the non-members. Right? On guests, I'm not gonna do that, but I think it's open for reevaluation at some point. So I think I agree that maybe we don't put it in the rules right now.
Well, let me suggest that with the system we have in place right now, it's pretty easy to make a rule change and just change the date. And if we think we're gonna stick with this for 6 months, it's easy to do an updated set of rules. It's just a matter of putting it on the website again, change the date, change in a sentence and put it up on the website.
I don't have an issue with that.
No. As long as it's easy to do and we don't have to vote on it again.
Yeah.
I think that's okay.
Okay.
No, there's only a couple of hills I'm gonna die on. This is not one.
Well, I guess
I'm not gonna be the only one that complains all the time.
No. So for a question for me though, is that
Nope.
if we go in
I saw what it
and
did last time.
if we go in and make a rule change, so if we agree on these now, and say in 6 months, we decide that we're gonna change that rule, what is the process? Do we have to re-communicate those rules?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's where I was going with this.
They'll republish them to
You're just sticking a sign on the front door saying, we're now.
The rate we're going, we
Back up.
accumulate these little incremental rule changes on a month-to-month basis. And this is basically the accumulation of stuff that's just come along in the last 9 months.
Right.
So, now, your question brings up a point I brought up 2 meetings ago. We can do things by rule, or we can do things by policy. But it's very, very hard for members to keep track of policies. As far as I know, there's no place on the website that they can pull up and say, these are all the policies that have been approved by the board. The rules are right there. Download them, read them. Or you don't even have to download, just read them on the website. But if we're going to rule by policy, we should have a policy to make sure that all of the current policies are collected someplace, easy to access, and are updated. Like the defibrillator, you want to make sure they get updated.
I guess my only concern is that, having to republish the rules or republish or re-alert everybody, hey, there was a rule changed and, or what have you. I don't have so much of an issue with that, except my thing is that I know that we've printed these, the rules in these little books that the RSOs carry.
No, we don't.
We don't have those anymore?
Oh, no.
Oh, I have one in my bag. I guess I need to get rid of it.
You're the one.
That's probably about 3 or 4 rules ago.
That's what I'm saying. That's what my concern is, that people don't get that update and then they still are talking about it,
Yeah.
Why don't we remove it from this change? And that we as a board will determine when we reflag it.
Well, the sign says until further notice.
Exactly.
So when we take the signs down and we send out an e-blast, we put on a website, whatever our thing is, you can bring one guest or it's open to guests again. Then we don't have to change the rules. So right now, the policy is that we're closed because of the damage we had. It's not necessarily a rule. So let's get rid of it. Take
All right,
that out.
I can do that.
Great point, man.
Okay, I'll get that done tonight and get it out to everybody tomorrow. Gene also had a very good point. It was about supervision of guests. We say that 1 guest shoots per sponsoring member, and the sponsoring member is supervising, not shooting. The issue with shotgun is that there's only 1 person shooting anyway, so that the member and the guest can be on the same squad. One shoots and the other shoots. They're not shooting simultaneously. But we had an issue where of the 5 shooting positions, sometime at one point, the guest is going to be at the opposite end of the squad as the sponsoring member. And it seemed unreasonable to say that just because of that one time, that one round, or those 5 rounds we could fire, we would not allow guests with it. So the compromise we made is that the sponsoring member can enlist other shotgun qualified people to
take over the supervising duties at that point, if they're separated.
I think that's been something that's been very common.
Yeah.
It's very common at the shotgun range where we've asked people have come in and said, hey, can I shoot with you? And, not being members and, we've been able to, everybody says, yes, we'll do this. So I think that's perfectly acceptable.
All right, so here at the indoor range, we just clarified the ammunition restrictions. The way it was written, we said 22 long rifle and centerfire handgun ammunition. But a guy pointed out to me, he says, I got a 22 Magnum, how come I can't shoot that? Because, the guy can be right next to me shooting a 357 Magnum at, 1,700 feet per second on my 22 Magnum, which is a much tinier bullet going the same speed, I can't shoot. So we kind of solved it to allow the 2,000 foot per second restriction to kind of govern everything. And Tracy said he was happy with that. Added the prohibition on shooting while seated and made an exception for anyone who may be disabled and have an assistant shooting along with it. And then a minor issue, clarified the requirement for closed-toed shoes. It was a ambiguous
They would be
sentence.
grateful for that if they ever had one stick between their toes.
That's right.
All it takes is once.
We got
So with the exception of
3.9.
3.9, which I will rewrite tonight and send out, that is basically the summary of all the changes.
Can I get a motion that we approve the changes to the safety rules with the elimination of 3.9?
I so move.
I'll make the motion.
All right, thank you, Tracy. Al?
I could second it, but I have a question. Be happy to second it.
All right, go ahead and ask your question.
Well, the prohibition on seating while we're shooting, I kind of feel like that's in the same category with guests, because if we start to bring guests back, are we ever going to bring the chairs back? Or chairs permanently gone, never ever, no seating? Okay.
I've never been to an indoor range that had seats. I understand guys like this, older guys like to sit, but they could do that in the outdoor range.
Well, but we have those pistol rests that you can put on top of the target, but,
Then we can't make them use them.
well, that's true, but you can't use them if you're not low and behind it, so you might as well remove those too.
No. You dropped.
Now I'm being facetious.
I know. So I've got a.
You second that?
I second it and I'm good to go with it. Yeah.
So my only concern with it seems like we're making more and more rule change and we're making them more often.
Or what?
More often. Well, the changes, like we just did a whole big revision to the rules.
Last year.
August, September?
August.
My memory.
Well, actually, it was actually, there was a complete rewrite in
Right.
July, and then August, there were some minor changes to what had just been done. So it's basically been 10 months, 9 months, 10 months.
It just seems like they're getting more and more specific. Like we're making rules for more and more minute changes. Yes?
Clarification.
In
Okay.
many cases, that's true.
Okay. I think it's putting a little bit more burden on our members.
Well,
Again,
I don't
So
see
you
that.
call the question. All those in favor say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. Ayes have it. Safety rule changes made.
Okay.
Thank you. Do we have any further? We didn't have any business. No raise requests. Toby sent in a report. Hope everybody had a chance to review that. Thank you, Toby. Jeff Voss is here. Calendar.
Hi, John.
Yes, sir, Toby.
I hate to cut in, but I'd like to just reiterate to the board on that report that I sent in, there was a portion in red. I'm only going to call this out because I think it's extremely important. We talked about managing club assets and things like that. The damage at ASF continues. I have pictures of, we have shooting barricades in Bay 1 and Bay 3 currently. and somebody decided to drag the shooting barricade all the way down to the berm and staple their target to it. Now, mind you, this is a piece of plywood with holes cut in it so you can stick your barrel through and shoot from different positions and become proficient. And somebody stapled their target to it, which you would think, oh, well, they were just lazy, until you realize that shooting barricade weighs about 30 pounds and an H-frame and sticks weigh about 2 pounds. So in my opinion, it was intentionally malicious. Fortunately, I have no idea who it was. So that the damage continues down there. So I would just like to stress, and I have no idea what the priorities are for the capital expenditures, but I would really like to see some sort of monitoring service out at ASF. I know Gene, would like it at Shotgun, and David up at the outdoor facilities as well. So I'd just like to call everybody's attention to the red portion, and I would ask that the safety director communicate with the RSOs accordingly so that the facility is being monitored just as much as the other facilities at the outdoor. Thank you.
Thank you, Tony. Point well taken, and it's the same way with damage to steel. I know Mike and I have talked about this. If anybody sees anybody damaging the steel with the wrong ammunition and doing it maliciously, take their badge from them and bring them before the board. I mean, things like that, that's the kind of members that will destroy the reputation of the club pretty quick. Thank you, Toby. With that. Jeff.
Right. Sorry for the little delay there. I'm starting to have some balance issues. Doc knows what it is. It's being treated. Rendering, we're a little behind, partly through the bulge and partially through my inability to quickly catch on to the new Outlook 360 mail system and the new operating Windows 10, but I think I've got that. So
Good. Okay.
Everybody's been contacted, and assignment will be caught up here within a week. So we have 34 members on paper. 6 are on the sick claim or lazy list, so we've got 28 active. I would like, I'm actively hoping that Elizabeth will join my crew as my second female mentor. We need more, and I'm actively trying to recruit ladies.
Good.
That's the primary thing I'm looking for now for mentors, is more female instructors.
Good.
Calendar is working. There is an issue, though, I do want to address to the board. When I took over the calendar 5-6 years ago, I had sole authority over it. It was deemed at that point that calendar was definitely something that had to go through one person. To have multiple people making changes and alterations was a real good way to brew up a disaster. Here, since we went to the new calendar, other people have been authorized, and last week we did have a couple incidents that where changes were made that I didn't know anything about, reaffirming my opinion that that's a job that can only be done for one. So I would like the board to have the webmasters see to it that I am the only one that has authority to make changes or alterations at all to the calendar. I hate surprises.
I'm not okay with that. I have complete access to the website, and I'm not going to run it.
The webmasters, of course, have access, and I trust them not to. You got enough on your plate. You're not going to be messing with individual events. Webmasters have always had that.
There's been some changes that I think are okay, and I think having just one person makes it a bottleneck. I think I like the idea of maybe checking the calendar to make sure that date is free, but then if an individual program manager or range director wants to make a change to their particular event, why would that have to go through one person?
Okay, we had an incident where an event was canceled. It was
Right.
simply moved the next month, leaving a blank space on there. This particular event, while it had sign up for the active part of it, members have become accustomed to the notion that there are walk-ups. They were confused especially because the one right above it was marked canceled, and all of a sudden one just simply vanished. And I knew nothing about it. So maybe I'm not being clear enough. I enjoy running the calendar. I've done it with a reasonable success. I have a good relationship with our secretary working these out. And I would be happy to continue running the calendar for another 5 or 6 years by myself. If the board wants multiple people to run it, you will do it without me. I want no part of that disaster that's in the making. Last week's was just a minor thing, but I can see major problems. So.
Speak up. You're one of the ones that's not happy
I was
about.
waiting. I was waiting.
You're one of the ones, like, I hear all these people, but here's my big problem, guys. Here's a big, and I'm gonna address it today. One of the problems I'm having is individual people complaining about things, and then when they have the opportunity to do something about it, they don't speak up.
So I appreciate that, Peter, but I was kind of waiting.
Okay.
Waiting for Jeff to finish. And I want to, I'll put it out there. I don't know that we need to make a decision in this meeting, but I will put this out there. I'm one of the ones making the changes. And as I brought this up at the last board meeting, that as the training scheduler that I've so deemed gotten, right, on my plate, I am the one I am one person who is actually going out and putting those schedules on the calendar. I'm checking the dates. I'm seeing if they're free. I'm putting them out there. As you said, it doesn't make sense, respectfully, to run all these through Jeff and, have that bottleneck there. So I understand what he's saying, but on the other side of it is I manage that program, the scheduling of that, and it's real easy for me to go in, add those in, make sure they're there. It's also easy for the directors that are managing the events, right? So the classes, to be able to go in and make changes. Maybe we need to postpone a class or cancel a class, which I did. We made a decision to cancel the classes. I went in, I canceled the classes. Now, did I make a mistake? I did. The mistake I made was I didn't shut off registrations. Minor mistake, nobody registered. It bold letters said canceled, and it was, right? So, and everybody was notified. Peter was notified to make refunds. All that happened. So, while I get, Jeff, respectfully, I get what you're saying. I understand that. But at the other side, we got to share the wealth. I mean, I don't think it's unreasonable to have other people managing other parts of that calendar.
Is it a real problem for you just to send it to Jeff and say, could you please schedule these things?
And don't you have to fill out a facilities request?
No, I do not.
Why not?
I don't need a facilities request to put a training.
For a class? Everybody else does.
Not the training committee. Well, wait a minute.
Wait.
No.
Yeah.
The training, there was a decision made by the board that the training committee will not be required to submit range requests for training events.
Right.
We made that decision. Therefore, we don't need one.
What do we do about conflicts if two?
What conflict?
If two events are scheduled, well, if you schedule something in a facility and then somebody else schedules something in a facility, but.
Can't happen.
Sure.
No, it can't.
I don't know anything about it.
So if the training.
If it's not on the calendar, it's open.
Yeah.
If it's not there on the calendar, it's an open date. If you're holding something for some reason and not putting it on the calendar, then, I mean, how are we going to be able to solve for that?
No,
If it's an open date, it's an open date, because I literally look. So, I look, I see if there's anything scheduled on that date. If it's here at the indoor range, I look, is there anything scheduled on that date? Nope, there we go.
The matches are different.
Matches are different. I'm talking about training events.
Right, which everything goes through.
Training.
Yeah, which everything goes to the training committee. I remember us having that discussion last August.
Right.
When we started talking about this, and we made a change to the range request process, and that was one of them.
Correct.
With it. Now, I can tell you, I'm a proponent of distributed work and distributed responsibility. So when it comes to range directors, program directors, they own it. And they have what I would say at least first dibs on being able to do what they need to do. Nothing against you. I'm just a proponent of that. That's where I've got the accountability, and that's where I want people to, have that. And having a calendar, to me, I mean, if the program directors have access to their calendar and can make those decisions, that's where I want the point of decision, that point of transaction, not somewhere 3 levels different from that. I mean, that's me. On that, I don't think we have to make a decision on this tonight, but at the same time, I
To give you a
think.
little further information you might find valuable. As it stands now, program directors can arbitrarily move, create, or delete any of their programs or of anybody else's programs. Once they have the authority on one, they have the authority over the entire calendar. So if I, as a program director, say, I don't like Sunday, I want Saturday, there's somebody else there, I'll delete him and put mine in. They can do that.
I can't see that ever happening.
I can, because I didn't see the events of last week coming either. Let me be real clear here. I've been doing this for 5 or 6 years. There have been no complaints. It's been very successful. Everything seems to have worked out fine. If the board wishes to allow everybody to put their fingers in the pie, that is, of course, the board's privilege. I serve at the board. But I will not be part of it.
Okay, all right.
Tracy, would you like the passwords for the calendar? Since you apparently are the one that wants it, you're welcome to take it over.
No,
Either
then,
I run it or everybody else runs it. That's it.
We're not talking about matches, no. We're talking about.
We're talking about running the calendar.
program. We're talking about programs. We'll have program directors like Ron Elliott in running the indoor range qualifications and the
Ron
safety
has no
briefing.
problem going through me.
Hmm?
Ron goes through me. We have a very good working relationship. I've been working with him for years, as I have with most of the other range directors. This is new. Okay? This just came about this last year.
Mhm.
And I won't work when anybody else can come in and undo and change and alter my work.
Has that actually happened?
Yes, last week.
Okay. What kind of problems did it, what were the,
Well,
what were the
the
consequences?
minor thing was the embarrassment to me of people asking, well, what about this? And I haven't got a clue
Okay.
where I'm supposed to. Okay? It left a blank space. This was not yours, by the way. This was the other. Where members don't know what to do. I know the little quirks. I've been working with this. I know how to cancel a program without making the error. I've been doing it for half a decade at least. And I really see no reason for a change. Has it been a problem before? If so, nobody's told me.
So what are you suggesting? For example, I get almost daily calls from Ron about making a change to something, and
From Ron Elliott?
Ron Elliott, like he wants the ability to go in and has very accurately been able to make changes to his programs in there. But you're saying that
Then
he
obviously
shouldn't
you
have
don't
the,
need me anymore.
you're saying he shouldn't have the ability to make a change.
That's correct. The calendar is one of those things that has to be run by one, or you risk massive confusion.
But Ron Elliott isn't going to make calendar changes?
No, to his, like, if he wants to make a change to the indoor,
Oh, we're not talking, Tim's just talking about
that,
calendar.
which is on the calendar.
so there's a couple things here. So let's just
Pull it out.
Let's just air this out real quick. There's a couple things here. So when it comes to the programs, the program directors, let's just take Ron Elliott, for instance. It's very simple for Ron to be able to, as he's managing the schedule, right? Because he goes in, he manages the schedule by the T, right? He can come in here, he goes in, he's able to edit, see who's on that list. He can figure out, hey, wait a minute, that person doesn't belong here, or hey, that person, should be in a different, class or whatever. And he's able to manipulate where to that next calendar, the rosters and where that next calendar entry can be, right? When people can register, when they can't register for the class. Granted, that's what Jeff does as well, but it's very easy for him as the,
He's at the point of sale, point of.
he's the
Or
single
particularly,
private
that person has signed up for the indoor qualification, and I know for a fact he hasn't come to the safety briefing.
Right.
Why would
Ron's
he
able
then
to-
have to check with the calendar person
Right.
before making that change? Makes no sense.
So you got, I mean, this is exactly the model I want, and that is the people that manage the programs have the ability to see what's going on, and in real time, point of sale, point of transaction, deal with it,
Make a change.
and not wait
It's that
for,
simple.
and not having to get in trouble communication.
Yeah.
Now, as far as
So guys, we can't have a side conversation at the
as
same
far as
time.
match programs, as far as matches and so forth, that where we get range requests, that's different than the training committee and program.
Right.
I mean, if you want to handle the calendar on those, that's fine. But I'm of the opinion that these program directors manage their calendars and manage their.
But that is not all program directors want to or have the ability to.
Who doesn't have the
Well,
ability?
you got David Heath shaking his head right there. He doesn't think.
Right, like he doesn't want to have to manage the Saturday workday, entering the stuff into the calendar, whereas other people do. I mean, like, there's got to be some flexibility.
This is a simple solution. The board is quite obviously in favor of multiple people having it. You're not. So the simple answer is, you're saying that you're going to bow out if they do it.
If they decide multiple people should run it,
Sounds to me like they
then they
decided.
can. It does sound like it. You're right.
Could we maybe sit on this for a minute and let, usually when something has a chance to simmer, clarity occurs, maybe we could consider a set of, fences, boundaries, clearly defined boundaries where this person has authority here, this person has authority here, and nobody steps on each other's toes. Could we maybe just let this simmer for a few days or weeks?
Sounds to me like there is no secret. Yes, it is.
With all due respect, Mike, it's a simple binary solution subset.
Yeah.
Either the board wants me to continue and the calendar to continue as it has for the last 5 years, or, as seems to be the case, the board wishes to have multiple people to have control and input. Which one is it?
Well, I
That's easy.
want the people who have responsibility for the program to be able to manage it.
Because they'll screw it up.
Is it possible that they could be controlled by permissions on the website, like
They are.
the pistol chairman can only look at the pistol items? So
It's not.
It's not that,
Wouldn't that solve the
so,
issue?
hold on, so it's not that granular,
Okay,
right? So we don't have that granular ability
all right.
to be like that, right? So, but I mean, this, I guess I'm just gonna throw it out there, I'm sorry, but I have an issue with it's all or nothing, Jeff, respectfully, and I'm just having a conversation.
No, I understand.
I don't agree with it's all or nothing. I think that we need to share the wealth. I mean, John, you said it, right? That we're trying to get a model where it's just not stuck on one person solely, that within reason, we can share the wealth and we can do certain things. And, I'm going to again say it. I don't think it's an issue we're not opening the calendar to all 1,800 members.
Exactly.
We're opening the calendar to a few people that manage certain parts of this club.
Yeah.
That's the reality of it.
Just for the sake of change? It's
No,
worked fine.
not at all.
It is not.
It's been no problem.
It is not. It's just,
It's called managing the white space between boxes. I mean, that's the bottom line. Hang on a minute, Mike.
It sounds to me, if it's not broke, why fix it?
Well,
It's not broke.
Well, it is. It is.
I want the people, again, Jeff, listen, I want the people who are responsible for their area to be accountable. And they have to be able to deal with them at the point of sale, point of transaction in real time. And if we can get more efficient and better at doing that. And we may have some hiccups along the way, but I guarantee you, over time, people will step up to what they need to do.
So,
I mean, if you want to manage the calendar on matches and range requests, but as far as program directors, what I'm beginning to hear around the table, what I want the program directors and those who are in charge of what I call the training and so forth, to be able to do that in real time. In other words,
Is this the board's decision?
I have to look at the consensus of the board.
Very well. Who gets the password for the calendar? I will not run it under these circumstances. Do you want it? You seem to be the proponent. Shall I send it to you?
send it to me, I'll take care of
Very
it.
good.
There you go.
Thank you.
Thank you, Jeff.
I don't appreciate that.
Yeah, I don't appreciate that.
I don't appreciate
either.
that one bit, and I'm gonna call you out on that.
Your
You just
comment
called
right
us
there.
assholes.
You just called us all assholes.
Yes, I don't
And that's
appreciate that.
unreasonable.
I said that out loud. I apologize.
John,
It's being recorded, so.
Yeah, this is all being recorded,
Please do
and
something
you
about
just called us out.
John, please do
No.
something about that.
That was an instinct in the head that came out.
All right.
I would never have said that out loud. Did I say it out loud?
You said it out loud,
Recorded.
and
I
that's just
deeply apologize for that offense.
Too late.
too late, you know.
All right.
Why would it be too late for an apology?
All right, guys, we're gonna move on.
Carry it, right?
But, I mean, Jeff, control, you've got to understand a couple of things. One is this board's looking at this in a large macro level
Certainly.
and looking at how do we get more efficient? How do we remove barriers to both orientation, to new members, to everything that we're doing? Anything that we can become more efficient on, we're going to do. And this is one of them. And I know it is one that, comes down to, when I look at range directors, when I look at program directors, I want them to run their place in their piece, and I want them to be responsible for it. And if they screw up, we'll talk to them, okay? But I don't know anybody that's giving their volunteer time, including you, that comes up and says, I'm just gonna screw this up. I don't know anybody in this club that does that. We've got good people like you that step up to do good work. And I just want to say that with that. But what you said a minute ago is not
Totally out of line. I
okay.
understand that.
Thank you.
Can we move on?
Yes, we are moving on with that. New member orientation.
Membership committee would like to reinstate the policy of allowing conditional members to pay $100 in lieu of doing 12 work hours to gain their permanent badge starting in May. The reason for that is during workday, we only accept so many workers. So some people either don't have the tools or can't make it. And then we have a lot of members that work weekends and other things. And we actually don't have enough jobs for a lot of our new members. So we thought that they should be able to pay $100. I don't believe we have to vote on it. I think it's just a membership thing. And Mayor and Jill are both in agreement with that. As am I. So that'll start in May. If you don't want to do your work hours, you can pay $100 and we'll make some money.
Hoorah.
E-blast will be sent advising members that this option is available. The tracking sheet and club website will be updated to reflect the change. Mayor Cialante reports that there were 14 conditional members that joined at the April meeting. Steve Meckler, Kenneth Farley, Keith Thornburg, Grace Leone, Brendan Kelly, Chase Griffith, Thomas Davidson, Carlisle Cornwell, Mark Machinsky, Christy Board, Dustin Gross, Jill Krasinson, Chris Bidricki, and Daniel Bryant. As of now, we have 57 prospective members on our list. Of those, 29 are older names that may not ever come. They've been invited at least twice to the meetings. She has placed them on a prospective frozen list as they have paid their deposit. We have 28 on the waiting list now, and she hopes to get those through orientation in May, with a few being pushed to June. We have another meeting on May 15th. She still anticipates reopening registration in late May, early June, and hopefully get back to a normal flow. One of the challenges is that despite requiring an RSVP twice before coming to a meeting, we are having a large number of no-shows. We anticipate 2 to 3 each time, but we had 6 in April, which could have been given to other potential members had they just told them. So we need a motion to accept the new members.
Do I have a
Motion.
Peter, Tracy, thank you. Any further discussion? All those in favor of accepting the new members into the club, say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed, say no. Ayes have it. Welcome new members. When you see them, shake their hands. Every time you see a conditional member, badge out there, walk up, talk to them.
Quick question. So, Peter, do you know when we're gonna open up for, new members?
Yes. So the waiting list for new members right now is down to 27 people. Those people, she's inviting all of them to the May new orientation. So then she wants to open it up mid-May to end of May to people. What the problem is when we open it, immediately there's a flood of people. And so it kind of overwhelms the system.
However, we will be.
Because we don't have enough mentors, we don't have enough, other things to go around. So if she can get these 27 in and they all show up, then she wants to immediately open up the website.
I'm asking because I've got 3 people that are wanting to join, but can't register yet, so.
Late May, early June was in her report.
What was it?
I just read, late May, early June.
Late May.
Early June to open it back up.
Good. I mean, I think the people know, those who have been involved, know exactly what the flow is, which is good.
Yep.
You know,
And out of this list, there's one from back in October. All the rest have been worked through. All the rest have only been waiting since beginning to mid-February. So, and it's on the website and they're told, when you sign up, we're not going to be able to get you in immediately. There is, about a month or 2 lag period.
Can you sign? You can't sign up now. You can't even get on a waiting list.
Can't even get on the waiting list.
Yeah, plus the COVID rules are easing up quite a bit,
Right,
too,
easing up, so.
which is good. Which reminds me, Mr. Secretary, get everybody informed that the general meetings are now open. People can begin to attend again. I'd like to get everybody here as much as possible.
Okay, we can get that put on the website.
The one thing that the membership committee has tried to avoid is having people pay a $50 application fee and then not hear anything for months.
Right. Yeah. Makes
That's
sense.
part of, that's part of the people. I mean, that gives another good example of those who are at the point of transactions like Mayor and you and Jill and some others with these new members and orientation you're beginning to listen to where some of the barriers are, trying to knock some of those down. And this is making it easier, to say the least. Some of the members I have been mentoring, Jeff, they talk about the process. And once we get into the mentoring part of this and they start the journey, they begin to see the reason why we go through the process as much as we do. I've got 2 guys I'm mentoring. I call them Lynn and Dave, the ones in the wheelchair and one knows his best pal. And I'm mentoring both of them at the same time. But what is it, because they've been shooting like 50 years and they know everything up one side and down the other, the safety protocols per se. But I said, you don't quite understand maybe our culture here as we work through things and how we look at things. And they say, that our club, they're saying our club won best assets they've ever seen, the best club atmosphere they've ever seen. And now they're getting a good idea of what it means to be a member here and the safety of what it takes, and big people feeling good about what they do. And once you get that platform down, I said, now you can go have fun, but just make sure people on either side of you respect what you do with them. David, outdoor range, sir. Anything you'd like to add?
Not really a whole lot right now because I canceled the workday Saturday because of rain and turned out to be a pretty good decision.
Yes, it
Started raining about 8:30 and we had everybody there and I made that call on my own.
Okay.
I discussed it.
Good.
There is still some work that needs to be done, but I may just do a mini workday like we did once before.
Yep.
And just have 4 or 5 people with some weed eaters take care of the rifle range and around the clubhouse and stuff. I don't need 30 or 40 there,
Good.
just a few. So I've got a list of some guys that have reached out to me, said, if you ever need some extra help, I could use the hours, I'll reach out to those guys. Get the minor stuff taken care of. I think Colton is gonna be back this summer, so.
That'll be good.
Right.
But that's about all I got right now.
Okay.
You talked about the capital expenditures earlier about those. The road has already been submitted. I gave it today. I gave that to you a while back.
The re-graveling?
No.
Not the paint, the concrete. The concrete. Now, the only
That's
thing,
been submitted, yeah.
Okay.
the only thing we're
Yeah.
holding on to that is we're holding on to see how much money we have left.
Well, I understand this to be out. I just want to say that proper paperwork has already been submitted.
Right.
Yep.
Yes.
And,
Yep.
The rest of it, I've got a number for the repair of the berms. I'm going to give that over to Toby and let him work up that report and submit it.
Good.
That's his call. I'm not going to step on any toes. I apologize to Toby for not letting him know I was getting that bid. But it was a while back and I just forgot.
Okay. Good. Good. Thank you very much. Mike, anything else on safety?
No, sir.
Thank you much. Gene? Thanks, one, for sending in the report. Good report, by the way. And thank you for stepping up shotgun range again.
Since you have this, you want me to go through it?
No, you don't have to.
Good.
If you got something you'd like, if you got something you'd like to emphasize or something you need,
Well, one thing that I'm trying to do is put a list together of people that we will certify that can go in the trap houses.
Yep.
If we have a trapper that doesn't show up, if they're sick, whatever, and they don't show up, then have to shut the range down for the entire day. Maybe we could open an hour or two later, calling somebody on that list. We're working on that now.
Okay.
Jill sent out the announcement about me and a request for volunteers. And we have 7 new shotgun duty officers coming on in May and June that will be training with Jack Broadhurst.
Good.
We're gonna have, Jack is staying on as the office manager. So we're gonna require that they train 1 6-hour shift with Jack and then another 6-hour shift with any other shotgun duty officer. And we're down to only 13 now.
Okay.
So after 2 full days, if they feel comfortable on their own, we'll give them keys and turn them loose. If they don't feel comfortable, they can keep working with another shotgun duty officer till they feel comfortable.
Good.
It's a lot of responsibility.
It is. It really is.
That's a good thing. The new dumpster pad should be finished tomorrow. We got the first load of gravel on it today. Second load will come in the morning. So that should be completed tomorrow. The staining project down there should be finished shortly. Bill Simmons has been doing that. He had eye surgery a couple weeks ago, so he can't do anything for another week or two. So that will be coming up. We had Vince come in from Florida yesterday. We missed, I understand, the last 2 years. We didn't have him come in to do service. So we found a lot of stuff broken yesterday. So he charges us $300 a day for his service. So had we done those 2 years that we missed, that would have been $1,200. Our repair bill yesterday was $1,352 or $1,354.
Plus his.
That's all. That's everything.
Oh, that's everything. Okay.
Yeah, so I do have to order from him a new motor and pump for load house 3, which will be on top of that, but that'll come out of, when I send you the bill, that'll be my general maintenance fund,
There you go.
as this was. One thing I would like to bring up to the board tonight that I discussed with David earlier today and with Peter, we have in the budget $9,000 to buy 2 new machines. What I would propose to the board is that we take field 2 is a unique field. It can be trap or ski. We have those Promatic machines on field 2. Those require 12-volt DC. What I would like to do is for Bill Simmons and some of our volunteers, just before September, when Vince will come back and do our second. We do it twice a year at 5 stand and trap and ski. So he'll come back in September to do our next maintenance. I would like to take those 2 Promatic machines out of the high house and low house on field 2, move them down to 5 stand. At that point, we would have 3 spares. I would like to take 4 out of the tower, which nobody knows how to work on, and we have no parts. I was told the last parts we got, our guy that does the maintenance on those bought them off eBay. So we can take that one out of the tower and do away with it. Put one of those Promatics back up in the tower. That would leave 2 spares for 5 stand and the Longbirds, A and B. I would like to take the machines out of field 3, high house and low house, and move those to 2. Take the 2 new machines and put in field 3, high and low house.
Would that get everything consistent in each of the fields?
Yes, everything up the hill would all be our pat traps, except Longbird A.
We got this.
And then everything at 5 stand would be all Promatics.
Good.
So what I would have to have would be, I talked to Vince today to see if he could do that. So it would run, we already had 9,000 set aside. I think we could do it for 10,000. I would ask for 10,500 just in case some incremental stuff comes up.
When you get,
9,000 is already approved for the
when
machine.
you get that firmed up, come back to the board. And it might have some in your budget.
It's
So-
already,
When you put in, the nice thing about, we approved a chunk of money for the capital expenditures. Now you get to fill out the capital expenditure request, make the changes you need within that request, and then when the board sees it,
Right.
then we can approve. So I know I'm getting a handle on it now with the way you discussed it, but I couldn't figure out 2 and 3 and this. And then
Don't need
each
it.
time you say it,
Exactly.
each time you say it, just put it in the request, and then we can look at it and we can approve it as a whole. So you get to make all these changes that you want,
Where you put your machines is your call.
and that's completely, that's the bottom line. It's your call.
Absolutely.
You're requesting money for new equipment. We can approve it in the capital, and then it's totally up to you how you want to lay out the machines.
the pat
Yep,
machines
completely up
are
to you.
much, much higher quality
That's good.
than the Promatics. They want Promatics at 5 stand because they're 12-volt DC
Okay.
and we can move them.
Good.
And they periodically want to move them to change up their game.
See,
Guess what? You're the range director.
Yep,
Do what you want.
I mean, see, that, I mean, you just proved the model of a range director saying this is what I need to do.
Yep.
And the board doesn't need to get into minutia of telling you what to do. You
I
know
just have to
exactly
come back
what
to
to
y'all for like another 1,500.
do. What I just need you to do though
Put it
is
in the
make sure
capital
you have
expense.
firm quotes when you get ready to submit that capital.
I have those in my hand right now.
Yep.
All right, bud, get ready to
I
go.
He's
sent
gonna
them to David today.
All right,
The
good.
gears are turning.
That's it. I mean, you're at the point of sale, point of transaction. That's where, things happen. It's like cashiers at a grocery store. The most important people in that grocery chain right at the cash register. Most important. So that's where you go. Thank you. Thank you very much. Good report. I think Jill sent in a report. I know she's not here tonight. Let me just open it up. Anybody else have anything good for the club? Anything else you want to bring up?
I'm sorry, I just have a question, that's all I got, I question.
Watch out.
So, with using the website, when can we hope to get some new RSOs? How about that? Let's start with that one. And the only reason I asked
Saturday.
is there were two people that I encountered at the range within the past week that both have their NRA RSO qualification. They're just waiting to be turned loose to go through the club program.
You have one scheduled for Saturday, don't you?
Good. So you have it for Saturday?
We just talked about it.
Okay.
About 4 days. 3 to 4 days.
Okay. Well, no, because you were saying that,